intimate relationships. It's about the relationships that we have with the world around us, and then also the relationship that we have with ourselves.
Yeah, it definitely addresses the rebirth of self when you really give yourself some time to learn who you are, learn where you come from, your ancestral roots and everything. That's why I think it's really important that a lot of it took place in New Orleans, that it just that Southern Black culture.
And it all started visually with formation. Okay?
Let's get information, because
Hey,
I slay.
And it was directed by Melina Matsoukas, who was one of the only female directors that worked on this project, Lemonade. And she's badass. She's worked with people like Jay-Z, Solange,
Yes,
Rihanna.
Pharrell. She's pretty much worked with all of our faves.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I liked Formation, it was like oozing black, saucy, powerful, womanist, feminist. Like, it was everything that I love about myself.
Yes, you could definitely see yourself in that video, all throughout that video. And even in her Super Bowl performance following, she definitely repped for us as Black women again. It's like, okay, girl, you do remember us. You didn't forget about us, you know?
She received a lot of flack for that, her performance on the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl. Yet Kendrick Lamar has made a lot of very political statements too in the same vein, on projects that he's done, live performances. Why do you think that Beyonce just gets so much flack?
I mean, I think it goes back to even the TED Talk piece in Flawless. It's like we as women are supposed to fit into a specific box or stereotype or just a social norm of what a woman is, and we're not supposed to speak up about those things. Those things shouldn't matter. We're just supposed to be quiet and keep
invisible.
Going. Yeah, so her status and talking about politics, like, that is touchy. Everybody don't want to know that. She's bigger than Kendrick Lamar.
She has a global platform.
Yeah.
Okay, so what makes the Lemonade visuals, the project, so unique?
I would have to say, we have Melina's input in there, and I
love you, Melina.
And I know we have like about 7 directors that did contribute to this, but I think Khalil Joseph is definitely the standout aesthetic that shows throughout Lemonade's project.
He's also worked with Kendrick.
He's worked with Kendrick. He's worked with Flying Lotus. He's worked with Shabazz Palaces. And if you've seen any of those videos, you can definitely see this abstract, spiritual,
very ethereal kind of,
and very ethnic. He definitely focuses on the Black community in his projects. I did find a quote where he says, let me see if I have it. Everyone wants to see themselves on the screen, but when I see Black people in movies, I don't see them as I know them to move and talk. And
I share that experience with him.
Yes, I think we always see all these images made about us, but not by us. So
or for us. It's like a caricature of who we are, or who people think we are.
Definitely. So he, to me, found a way to really show us in a very real way. And as far as I know, this is one of his first projects where he really focuses on the Black woman and goes in deep.
Yeah, he does. I think one of the other things that really sets this project apart and makes it so noteworthy is the poetry.
Yes, Warsan
Shire is the young poet born in Kenya in 1988 to Somali parents, and she immigrated to the UK. Very young woman, astounding poet.
Yes.
And we've been longtime fans. Beyonce just put her on a global platform on her stage, but
she has a following.
She does.
She has some loyal followings. If you were ever a Tumblr kid, Tumblr girl, when Tumblr was really big, like 2013.
Yeah, I think back in 2012 is when you kind of put me on to Warsan.
I definitely came across her work and felt like she awakened things in me, like almost like a healing came with reading her work by itself. So to see it coupled with the visuals that Khalil and then also with Beyonce, it definitely took it to a whole nother level. And I was shocked when I heard it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I recognize that. My favorite one is the one for women who are difficult to love, because, I understand that. sometimes I'm difficult to love.
But I'm worth it. Are you worth it?
Yes.
And Beyonce says we're worth it. So we're worth it.
Yes.
That's it. That's the end all be all. So she actually adapted several pieces of her work for women who are difficult to love, The Unbearable Weight of Staying. There's a lot of different things that she adapted for this project. And honestly, the visuals stand alone. The music stands alone. The production of both is amazing. But Warsan Shire is the element that really pushes this and propels this project forward and makes it astounding.
She definitely weaves it together and makes it a full body of work that, to me, is unforgettable.
And that's another thing that I believe that Khalil Joseph does visually. He weaves a tapestry of Black women's past, present, and future through the visuals of the Orishas. And there's a lot of tribal paint and that are representative of our Yoruban West African roots, and then even our Southern roots. And then she ties that into our present day. It's amazing. Let's get into the visuals.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So, Lemonade is a cinematic novel, and it has 11 chapters. Intuition, denial, anger, apathy, emptiness,
accountability, reformation, forgiveness, resurrection, hope, redemption, and formation. Yes.
Okay. So what's your favorite visual from this
For
film?
me, one of my favorite favorite visuals would have to be the one where she jumped off of the cliff and dives into the water. It's poetry there. It talks about how I fasted for 60 days. I didn't look in a mirror. I did all these different things. And it just really spoke to me because I've had moments where I definitely took solitude in order to understand myself better and went deeper. And it was so uncomfortable. It was freaky. Like in that moment, some of those visuals, the way that it's shot, it's uncomfortable. It's kind of like, whoa, where are we going?
Because we don't see the water when she dives off the building. Like, for us, she's committing suicide.
She is.
Like, we have to take a leap of faith. We don't necessarily see where we're going.
Yes,
but she ended up immersed in water. And solitude and fasted and did all these things.
I just thought it was visually beautiful, like, because there's beauty in the pain. I feel like that was a very painful moment for her in this visual, and then she is rebirthed. Coming out onto the song Hold On in the yellow dress, and like the water gushes out when she opens the doors, and it's just like, okay, you guys, I am back and better than ever.
And in this one, she emerges in the yellow and the water is flowing, which is representative of the Orisha Yamaya.
So
go ahead.
I think everybody doesn't know what Orishas
is. So Orishas are African deities that originated in West Africa, where our ancestors come from. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have a monolithic religion, so they had several different deities that are representative of different characteristics of our culture. Mm-hmm. And Yamaya is one of them. Ocean and Yamaya are two of them that were heavily represented. And Ocean, she represents fresh water, sensuality, flirtatiousness, feminine, sexuality, mm-hmm. love, and fertility. And one of the things that, she does is not get angry on the surface. Like she doesn't lose her temper quickly. So in these visuals, we see Beyonce in the yellow, and she's like smashing the windows, but she's smiling. She looks crazy. And what are the lyrics?
I'd rather be crazy, jealous or crazy. I'd rather be crazy.
And we've all been there. I know I have.
I have to.
Well, I look crazy on the outside, but I'm really not.
That's a different conversation.
Okay.
But I definitely think, she opened the door to talk about something that's very taboo in the Black community, talking about African deities. It's kind of a touchy subject because that's not something that a lot of Black people or Christians really get deep into. And I love that she has these motifs about that and talks about the God in herself, but she also makes a point to do stuff like there's a blurb where it goes, God is God, I am not.
And that's in the one with where she's underground and it's the real rock, very what song is that? Don't Hurt Yourself. That's one of my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. But I think it's important that she does that. So I think that was her way of making sure she doesn't disconnect for those people who don't believe in that, because it's not about believing in this or that. It's just about sharing some information. And I think you guys should definitely Google more about Orishas and whatnot, just because you never know where you might, connect to that
and
yourself.
Get a healing.
Yeah.
Let the musicians be your physicians, okay?
Yes.
Another thing that happened in the anger chapter, where we see the Don't Hurt Yourself video, she's underground, she has the cornrows, and her body's kind of banging when she's like...
Kinda.
Well, yeah, it is. Anyway, so one thing that I really admire about this part of the visual is the Malcolm X speech insert.
Yes.
Like where he is praising black women, and talking about our true experience, how... we're not revered enough, we're not respected enough. And I think that's important coming from such an historical figure in our culture. To hear Malcolm X, I've always loved Malcolm. I want a bro like Malcolm.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely Team Malcolm.
Oh, yeah.
And that speech that they use, too, it's he's speaking at the funeral of Ronald Stokes, who was killed by the LAPD. And that was in 1962. So I just feel like that's another way where they just weaved in some information to say, look, you guys, it's 2016, but guess what?
It's still happening.
This is not a new conversation.
It's not. She even has the mothers of several of the victims over the last few years that have died at the hands of police brutality.
For no reason.
Trayvon Martin's mother, Mike Brown's mother was in it as well. Eric Garner's mom was in it. So 1962, here it is 2016, and we're still dealing with the same kinds of things. So, yeah.
And that's that part in the beginning where you were just talking about she's been so silent on certain things going on in our community. And I'm actually happy that she's been silent in the way that she is. She's not doing interviews. She's not doing press. You know what? She's going to put it in her art. Which is way more powerful than any interview, any magazine article about her opinion. It's like, no, I'm going to show you how it makes me feel. I'm going to show you how they feel. I'm going to give them camera time so you can see it and feel it too, because I felt it.
I felt it too. Another thing that I felt, from a different visual, the one 6 inch heels.
6 inch heels.
Yes. So we see like red, and it's like a long, narrow hallway that we see that I feel is representative of a menstruating vagina. And like I've never seen a black woman's menstruating vagina on camera, and I thought it was amazing. And on the walls of the vagina, or the halls, there were shadowy images of men, like pictures on the wall, and I just feel like that's representative of the residue of our sexual partners. Like they live in us forever.
And but I think that's part of what the piece is about, like trying to cleanse and like come to terms with that. And I think that's another piece where she definitely makes a point to show that she is no different from any of us. I feel like she darn near compared herself to a prostitute or a stripper or anything. She's on stage on one part where there's like a glass in front of her, and she's in her her typical leotard and fishnets dancing, and it's like
another interpretation of the red light could be the red light district.
You get that vibe definitely too. And she's like, you guys, I'm out here working for the money just like you. Just because I'm up here making $4 million, we are not different.
It's funny because Amber Rose said something on Twitter a few weeks ago about her and Beyonce being the same. And
Black Twitter went up on that.
Beehive went after her. And I kind of was at, in opposition with her. I didn't agree with her. I feel like, no, Beyonce is not better than Amber Rose. But she's different. And Beyonce in this piece stood up herself through her art and said, no, honey, I am no different than any of you. We are all the same.
All struggling with the same thing. Just on a different level.
On a different level, in a different way.
Yes.
Accountability. This is the song that she does. It's a country song.
Which is crazy. Can we talk about the fact that Beyonce did a country song?
Let's switch a little bit and talk about the musical aspect of it. It's very eclectic, and she reaches out to a lot of indie or lesser-known artists to collaborate to make, sonically this album. And
So the country song in itself is like her stepping out of the box and doing something that we normally wouldn't necessarily listen to.
And I love it. Like, why might it be my favorite song? Like, I thought I wouldn't like it, but I tricked you. I love country music, thanks to Beyonce.
But it definitely has a blues feel to it.
Yeah.
I know we talked about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's the content too.
Like, we don't really know. Is she talking about her dad or Jay-Z or both? Like, I feel like she married her dad, the same guy that her dad told her to stay away from.
And they say we do that, you guys. They say we marry our dad or our mothers.
Yeah.
We look for them in our partners. And I think she's definitely shedding light on that and what she's had to deal with both as a child and as a wife.
Yes. Oh, can we talk about Serena, though?
Oh,
Serena Williams makes an appearance in the Lemonade visuals, and she's like dancing while Beyonce is just sitting on the throne in all her thickness and melanated gloriousness.
Yes, I just love that because I see Beyonce again showing that image of we're no different. Like, yes, I am the top in my game, undefeated champion. I don't care what nobody says. And you know what? I could twerk too, honey. I'm sexual too. I'm sexy too. You know, they talk about Serena as if she's like not beautiful.
Like, she's absolutely one of the most exquisite women. And I love that this is a narrative that allows us to own our sexuality for no other purpose than our own desires. You know what I mean? That's something that we don't get to do a lot.
And that's also the song where they have the girls on the bus with the face paint on.
Yes. That's mostly the visual that I'm talking about. That weaves the tapestry of our past, our present, and our future. We have Beyonce, who's not in the tribal paint, and she looks pretty modern. But they're on the bus. They're traveling. They're moving in a direction. And I feel like on one of the songs, she goes, "Come back." People think that she's don't talk about my singing on here. People think she's talking about Jay-Z, like she's beckoning him back to work on their relationship. I think she's calling the ancestors to help her get through this. And on the bus is the ancestors, and they're all young women.
They are. I watched it again. There is this part where there's like an older man or woman sitting on the bus with the head down, and you just see a hat. And like, that's why when you even say, she says, come back, like she's throwing those images in there. It's almost like just a hidden language. Everybody's not going to get it. A lot of people didn't like this. A lot of people focus strictly on the infidelity
part of it.
But there's so many hidden gems
and
in
layers.
This piece.
And we're still digesting and going through it. We're just really excited to talk about it today. We mentioned Serena. One of the things that I really love about this project, like I said, is that she has a variety of black women, different shades, different shapes, different hair textures. And even she uses Amandla Steinberg and some of other young people that are very active in the industry and also in the movement. And I think that's great to see that sisterhood, that collaborative.
Yeah, she even has the sisters, Chloe and Halle, who are two artists that she just signed to her label. And they are gorgeous, and they just dropped a new song and a new EP.
If you haven't heard it, go listen. Do yourself a favor.
The song is called Drop, and I believe the EP was called Sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar Symphony, something like that.
One of the producers, did Mellow X work on that too?
I'm not sure if he worked on
Chloe, and I think he did, honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised. I can definitely hear.
Yeah. So Mellow X, actually, he's a Brooklyn-based artist, and we kind of knew him from a couple years back too. We would go to some of his shows and see him locally. Jesse Boykins, that whole little
Dr. Wu.
Yeah. So I'm like really happy to see, like I said before, that Beyonce has reached out to lesser known artists to give them an opportunity to really shine. And it's not like because they're lesser known they're any less talented. They are extremely talented. There's so much talent out there.
It definitely
and
is.
I feel like with the new wave of the industry, how it's up in flux, more specifically the music, that there is a way for us to incorporate a new way of consuming. Not just music, but visuals, and this is what she's saying.
Definitely, because she dropped her album on HBO. Who does that? Beyonce does that. And Mellow X not only produced some of the songs on there, he actually scored the whole visual, which is crazy. Like, if you go back and watch it, you pay attention to the wind and the footsteps and all these things. It's done so seamlessly. Mellow X, you did that. We see you.
You did that. You did. He produced Hold Up and Sorry on the music part of it. But she also worked with London-based songwriter Johnny Coffer. She worked with James Blake, who's one of my favorites. He has really a new project coming out too. Just Blaze did some of the master production on the album. And like I said, the genres are very eclectic. She talks R&B, or she sings R&B. There's hip-hop influences, heavy rock influences, country influences, Caribbean influences.
Everything.
Like, she takes you everywhere. And she samples Led Zeppelin, Isaac Hayes, the horns from Outkast, Bodie Dodie, you know that song I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think sonically the album stands alone. Like I said, the visuals stand alone. But when you pair them together with Warsan's poetry, it just takes it to a whole nother level. And if you haven't gotten into it, you definitely should check it out.
Yes. I know a few people out there personally who have not watched it yet. Please go watch it. What are you doing? Especially Black women. It's for us, but not only Black women. If you're an artist, if you're a part of this world, you go watch it.
It's amazing.
I am excited to go see her in concert.
She's going to be at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena on the 14th. I'm excited to see all my ladies there in formation.
Yes, I think it's going to be an amazing event, and we should definitely come back and let you guys know what you missed out on. Yeah. Hopefully y'all are going too. Hopefully you didn't sleep on those tickets.
Yeah. Lemonade overall is reclaiming our narrative as Black women. We are, we're visual storytellers. We are musicians. We're artists.
We're mothers. We're sisters. We're friends.
And we have our own stories to tell, and we don't need your help. That's the moral of the story of Lemonade.
We need your help. We just need a mic, too. Hand us the mic. We have stuff to say, too. That's all it is.
And it's good stuff. It's quality stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that is our show today.
Yes, you guys, let's get information.
Get information. We'll see you at the concert. We have more in store coming up next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Angie Skates, and you can find me on Twitter at Angie_Skates.
And I am your co-host, Kelly. You can find me at the Urban Gypsy LA.
Thank you. We'll see you guys next week.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live. Sip me, Instagram me, @KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.